Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We are once again out here in nature. We have the river next to us in our English lesson. And yes, today is June 13th, 2020. And today I want to talk about a topic that is a very common grammar issue in English. The difference between using a gerund, which is the ing form of a verb, or the infinitive, which is like the to do, to be form of a verb, okay? So in English, when we are using more than one verb together, the second verb will either be in the gerund, the infinitive, or the base infinitive. And the base infinitive is just the infinitive without the to, okay? So when you're going to use the base infinitive, this will be situations where you have the auxiliary verb. And what's an auxiliary verb? An auxiliary verb can be like do or does in the present tense, or did, didn't in the past tense, or even will in the future. Examples. Do you like ice cream? Okay, so the second verb like is the infinitive without the to, right? Does she want some tea? Did he like soccer when he was younger? I don't like strawberry ice cream. He didn't speak to the teacher. Okay, so using do and did, the next verb is just the base infinitive. Auxiliary verbs are also modal verbs, right? So modal verbs are can, may, must, should, would, could, will. So some examples. I can't dance. Right? And so dance is just in the infinitive without the to. She may join us, right? Or they must begin soon. He should keep the receipts. Bonus question. What's the difference in English of receipt and recipe? Do you know the difference? Okay. We would like a glass of water. So would like, right? So like is the second verb, just the infinitive, no to, just the base infinitive. She could help you. He will be there at 9 p.m. Now, our incorrect sentence from last week was, they can to start the project soon. This is incorrect because you have can, and so after can we would just use start. They can start the project soon, okay? Another time we use just the base infinitive without to is when we say used to. So you say, I used to do something. You don't say, I used to do, right? So I used to go to the beach with my grandmother when I was a child, right? I used to. Yo solía in the past. Or I love broccoli now, but I didn't used to. So used to is like the form together, and the verb after it would just be the base infinitive. Okay? All right, perfect. So now let's talk about verbs that are always followed by the infinitive, which is to do, right? To do, to be, to see. So first reason why we might use the infinitive is to talk about the infinitive of purpose. If you want to say why you are doing something, para qué. So I've just gone running to get some exercise. So why did you go running? You went running to get exercise. I have made a cake to bring to the party, right? To bring, para llevar a la fiesta, to bring to the party. But remember, if you want to say like para algo or para alguien, then you would use for. So you could say, I've made a cake for the party, because the party is a thing. What else? These are some examples to help you. Para ayudarte, to help you. All right, we also use the infinitive after to and enough. So if you say, it is too hot to have a picnic, or it is not warm enough to swim. Okay, perfect. So now we have a list of verbs that will always be followed by the infinitive. So here's the list. Okay, so here are some examples with those verbs. You could say, she agrees to help you. She fails to understand the situation. She hopes to teach them many things. He learns to speak better. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Okay, good. So now let's look at verbs that are followed by maybe someone or something plus the infinitive. Not always someone or something, but verbs plus possibly someone, something, and the infinitive. So here is the list. All right, so here are some examples. She expected to pass her exam, or she expected him to arrive at 9. So that someone or something can be in parentheses, right? So we can say expected him to do something or expected to do something, right? The word promise, right? So he promises call you tomorrow. This was one of our mistakes from last week. So he promises to call you tomorrow would be correct. All right. So we also have verbs that are followed by someone or something, always someone, something, and then plus the infinitive. For example, she encouraged me to keep studying. So she encouraged me to keep studying. Do you know the meaning of encouraged? That's a good word. I encourage you to continue studying. I want you to study. This is my other very common mistake that I hear all the time, because in Spanish you have the subjunctive. Maybe in German, maybe in Portuguese, I don't know. But in Spanish you have the subjunctive to express this. But in English we have to use the infinitive, and we say, I want you to study. I want you to help me. I want you to come with me. She wants me to help. All right. Now we have verbs plus the gerund. And what's the gerund? The gerund is the ing form of the verb. So we always use the ing form of the verb, the gerund, after prepositions. Okay, so an example from last week was, he made a lot of friends by joining the tennis team. This is incorrect because we have the word by, which is a preposition. So after the preposition, ing. So he made a lot of friends by joining the tennis team. Another common mistake that I hear all the time is with think about. Think about, think about. I know that in Spanish you want to say something different, but think about. So I will think about going to the beach. I'm not sure if I can. I'll think about it. So when you say think about something, or if it's a verb, think about doing something. So always ing, because about is a preposition. So after the preposition, ing. All right, she is good at painting. I went home after finishing dinner. Keep on studying. We can talk about making changes. All right, so always about. About, on, all of these are prepositions, and so after you use the ing. Also we use the ing when we are using the verb like the subject or the object of the sentence. Basically, if you're using the verb as if it were an activity or a noun or something. So if you say, swimming is such a great sport. So you use the ing because we're talking about swimming as the subject of the sentence, as a noun, as an activity. You could say, he decided to take up swimming. Or, yeah. Okay, good. Let's talk about the verbs that are plus the gerund, the list of verbs. So here I'm going to give you a list of verbs. Okay, so as you can see, after these verbs, we're always going to use the ing. For example, I really enjoyed spending the day with you. Or, would you mind helping me? Or, you can't avoid talking about it forever. What else can we say? Also, after these expressions, if you have expressions like, an expression which is very common is used to be used to, or to get used to. Not used to do something in the past like solía, but to be used to, which is estar acostumbrado o acostumbrarse. After that we use the ing. So So you can say, I must get used to speaking. All right, so I'm going to put a slide here of different expressions. All right, so after these expressions, we're going to use the ing, the gerund. Our example sentence, it's a waste of time, go there. Incorrect. You would say, it's a waste of time going there. Because of the expression, it's always followed by the ing. Or I can't help doing that. Or like, do you know the song? There's a song by UB40, which is, I can't help falling in love with you. Right? You know that song? Wise men say, only fools rush in. I'm not going to sing, I'm sorry. I can't sing, no. Also with the expression, it's no use. It's no use repeating yourself. She is very stubborn. Okay? So those are some expressions followed by the ing. All right, now we have the group of verbs that can be followed by the ing or the infinitive, and there is no difference in the meaning. So here's the list of verbs. Okay, so for example, I love playing tennis, or I love to play tennis. Both are perfect, both are correct. You can say, it began snowing, or it began to snow. Both are fine. With our example sentence from last week, he prefers go to the mountain? No. You would have to say he prefers to go to the mountain, or he prefers going to the mountain. Another example, it continued raining, or it continued to rain. Both are correct. Okay, so now, sorry, it's moving. So now we're going to talk about the verbs that are followed either by the infinitive or the gerund, and the meaning is different. So we talked about this a little bit last week, all of this, but let's talk about it again. So here's the list. All right, so let's talk about these words. The first one, remember. I remember going to the beach with my grandma when I was a child. When you use the ing, you're talking about a memory in the past. When you use the infinitive, you're talking about a plan to do something in the future. So you say, I must remember to send her an email. Something that you need to do. The example from last week, I am so proud of him, he finally stopped to smoke. Incorrect. Probably, because it has two meanings, right? You probably want to say, I am so proud of him, he finally stopped smoking, right? Because if you say stopped smoking, you're saying dejó de fumar, right? But if you say stopped to smoke, you're saying that he stopped his activity para ir a fumar, right? So that's not what we're saying here. Another example with stop, he stopped the race, he was running a race and he stopped to drink water. So he stopped in order to go drink water. So this is the idea of the infinitive of purpose, right? The infinitive gives the idea of like why you're doing something. So you stopped to go do something. Or he stopped running when he finally arrived. So he stopped running because the ing is the activity. You stop the activity when you finally arrive. I will never forget meeting you that one rainy afternoon. So with forget, when you use the ing, you're talking about a memory that you don't have, you forget, or you will never forget some memory in the past with ing. And then he forgot to lock the door. So we're talking about an activity he needed to do. He forgot to lock the door. Similar with remember, like I must remember to lock the door. Okay, well, I really hope that all of these examples were helpful to you. I know that this is a common topic to talk about in English classes, the difference between infinitives and gerunds. And if you have any questions, please let me know, and hopefully I can help explain it. I think that repetition is very good. So the more we practice, the better we will be. All right, so that's it. Have a wonderful day, night, month, week, I don't know. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.